we typically finish interviews with a 4-pack of questions to get to know about your beer tastes and your beer history. So the first question we always ask is, what was your first experience with good beer that you can remember?
Ooh, so my first good beer was Left Hand Nitro Milk Stout, and it was on draft. And I think it was up in McKay's Tap House up in Bellingham. And I was like, ooh, this is so good. It's creamy, it's mild, it's not in your face bitterness. And I really liked it. And so I have a soft spot in my heart for Left Hand Nitro Milk Stouts.
I mean, that's awesome. You found good craft beer while you were still in college. I think most people we know don't discover it for later on in life.
Yeah, I really lucked out. I also lucked out because my folks, they, ever since I was 16, they'd let me have a sip of their beer, have a sip of their wine. And they didn't want it to be super taboo, this whole alcohol. And so I think they just wanted to make sure I wasn't a complete idiot when I finally left to go to college. And it worked. I never blacked out, so that's always good. I didn't black out till my 27th birthday because that bartender gave me that was the one special occasion that I didn't drink beer. I drank hard liquor, which I normally don't do, and it's not a good time. But yeah, so I was very fortunate that my parents are huge wine snobs and they also like good beer, so I got to try their stuff when I was younger. And then I think I was also just very fortunate to have a really good craft beer scene up in Bellingham too.
We have Aslan up there, and I love Aslan.
Yeah, Structures and Wayfinder, they have a lot of stuff up there. And Boundary Bay. Boundary Bay was also one of my first good beer, good breweries that I loved. I loved their Scotch ale. It was definitely one of my favorites.
The second question we have is, I think you mentioned it at the very beginning of the podcast. You rattle off 5 styles, but what's your 1 or 2 go-to styles?
Stouts, for sure. Stouts and barley wines.
Barley wine's interesting for being on the West Coast because that's more of a Midwest thing.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until way later, but I really like them. They're just really malty, figgy, and toffee, caramel. I mean, at least the ones I like. I don't really like the barley wines that are too fruit forward. I like the more rich malty barley wines.
Who's producing those up here? Anyone producing those in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, Fremont. Fremont has a couple really sought after barley wines that are amazing, their brew, brew 3B3K, brew 3000. Brew 4000. I really liked the Brew 3000, but a lot of people like the Brew 4000 because it's not as sweet, but your girl likes her sweets, so I like the 3000 more. Holy Mountain has, I think, a good barley wine, Hand of Glory. And then Pint Size Brewing. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they have an amazing barley wine in a fucking can. And I was really impressed. I can't wait to try their third barrel batch.
The third question is, and this is going to be a tough one because we have 400 breweries to choose from, but in the state of Washington, what's your 1 or 2 go-to breweries?
You look like you're going to say something.
Does it have to be in the state of Washington? Hold on.
Well, that's question 4 is outside the state of Washington. Question 3 is inside.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, Jack.
So the state of Washington, what's my go-to brewer? I'd have to say either Fremont or Holy Mountain. They're solid. They have amazing IPAs. They have amazing stouts. Their barley wines are really good. I'm not a sour person or saison person, so luckily Fremont doesn't do a lot of sours or saisons. Holy Mountain does some fermented things, and I'm just take your IPA instead, please. Thank you.
Yeah, you got Clint on board with that. Clint told me he's not big on sours, especially the really, really sour ones. I love sour beers.
The fruited sours, though.
I just had one of those the other day, and Jack was like, you were drinking a sour, and I was like, it was called Just Add Fruit. It was a fruited sour.
It was a smoothie, right?
Yes. And my rule on sours, if you get, that bite you get at the back of your jaw where it's too sour, it's not good. If it doesn't bite me, then I'll give it a high Untapped rating. If it bites me back there.
Well, so to be fair, like, because I don't like that style, to be fair, I love that show so much. I can't. Anyway, for those who don't understand the reference, we're referencing Letterkenny. Amazing show on Hulu, and they just came out with season 9, so go watch it. But
and I apologize to the listeners. I cannot hear "To Be Fair" and without coming back with the "To Be Fair" reference. It's an automatic response.
I know, but because so that's my like kind of number one rule on Untapped is if I don't like, historically speaking, like that style of beer, I just won't rate it, because I don't want to fuck with the ratings for people who actually like that style of beer. And there are people like in the beer running club that they love saisons and they like love these fermented things, and so like they're like, oh, this is so good, and I'm like, I believe you. I don't like it. And but the fruited sours, they're just like, that's not beer, that's a smoothie, and I love it. I'm here for it.
My Untapped rule is if it's a local or if it's a craft brewery, I'll never go below 3.5 stars, because I don't want to. If I think it's a terrible beer, I won't rate it. But like, and I typically only do 3.5 is like cusp. Like 3.75 is like really the lowest I'll rate a beer if it's a craft brewery. Now, if I'm drinking like doing a beer mile and I just want to check in as a joke, yeah, you're getting a 1 star from me or a 0.25 star from me for being a a Pacifico or PBR. Yeah, I think I've rated PBR like 1.
So I'm known in Sacramento as being an honest rater on Untapped, and I don't rule on what the lowest score that I'll give somebody is. But it bit me. I was down visiting my sister in San Diego and was at the brewery and I love IPAs. That's my jam, and had a beer and it was bad. Anyways, and I rated it right away, not thinking that I'm still sitting in the brewery. And as soon as I posted it, I thought the guy working behind the bar is probably who runs Untapped. And I posted it and I look over and he's looking at his phone and he just looks at me and I'm like, we're out. We're leaving. So
you do not name the brewery, just to be fair to that.
I did not. No.
But speaking of San Diego, so question 4 is outside of the state of Washington. So way more than 400 breweries. Which one?
Anchorage Brewing.
Okay.
Anchorage. Yeah, I basically have traded my like firstborns for their blessed. Anchorage, like their blessed beer is so fucking good. So I have 2 bottles and I'm gonna pop one for my birthday coming up soon. So I'm like really excited for that. But Anchorage they have amazing IPAs. I haven't had one bad IPA by them. I've had like a couple that I'm like, this isn't their best. It's not my favorite, but it's still really good. Like there are a few breweries out there where like I can have a consistent, like, I don't know, experience with, even with their stouts. If they're like, I wasn't a huge fan of their, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Wendigo, and I wasn't like, I didn't like it a lot, but I was like, still good. Like I'll still drink it. It's not a bottle. It's not like a pour, a drain pour. And there have been those in the past. And so 100% Anchorage Brewing. I wish they would ship, so I didn't have to go through like a third party like company to get their stuff or have to like trade my soul away for their stouts.
Find a beer group that is national, that is with everybody, and then you can find somebody to trade that beer with.
I did find some. So the person I traded one of my firstborns for, one of the blessed, he is actually going up to Anchorage Valentine's Day weekend. So he's like, I think there's going to be some releases, so I'll keep you in the loop if you want. I'm like, yes, please. Oh my God. So I'm like really fucking excited.
New best friend.
I know. I'm like, oh yeah, let's exchange numbers. We don't have to just be Untapped friends.
I mean, even in the BTS group, the beer tasting Seattle group, I mean, I've seen that post where, some guy posted like 30 bottles, like, these are coming your way, Sarah.
I know. Oh yeah. So my wonderful friend and ex-boyfriend Josh, he lives out in Iowa, and LUA Brewing. Holy fuck, they are going to be big someday if they can make it through this pandemic, because their beer is amazing. I had a Hefeweizen by them. I'm not a Hef person. I'm not. I had one and I was blown away at how good it was. It was just like heavy banana and coconut. And then their adjunct stouts are amazing, like blown away amazing, like up there with Anchorage. Actually, like if I wasn't already so like in love with Anchorage, I think LUA would be my like number one brewery outside of Washington State.
And obviously I skipped the 4-pack of questions a little early because I think we've got to talk about one topic, Deadpool.
What about Deadpool? Yeah.
Go ahead, Clint.
My lead up was going to be tell me more about your dark sense of humor, but let's talk about Deadpool. So I have an 11-year-old daughter, and I'll lead into it here. She loves Marvel, and she's seen bits of Deadpool and thinks it's hilarious and wants to watch it so bad. And she's only seen the clean versions, and she begs us though to watch full Deadpool, and we're like, I don't think you're ready yet. I don't think so, not yet.
That's kind of tough, yeah. Because like some of his jokes are really, really dark, where it's like, you have to be an adult to understand, like, yes, there's humor, but there's also some kind of, serious tones to a lot of his jokes, especially like with his history as a character and his like, background. But yeah, he's definitely my favorite Marvel hero. I cosplay as Lady Deadpool. I'll show you my masks. I just have it back here. So I have this amazing mask, and then it has like a hole for my ponytail. But so I cosplay as Lady Deadpool at Emerald City Comic Con every year. And it's one of my favorite things to do.
Yes. And he's joining the universe this year, is what my son told me.
Disney bought him out, yeah,
Yes,
but they're
yes.
going to keep it rated R.
Well, it has to be, but I'm just wondering how does it all play together? Because we watch all of the Marvel, all of the Deadpool, and like I feel like with X-Men it's going to be easy to play together, but with the rest of it, how are you going to tie it in?
So they missed a great opportunity to tie in Deadpool with what was it? Endgame.
Endgame
With
yes.
Thanos.
Yes.
So in the comics, the real reason why Thanos is trying to kill off half the universe. Sorry, spoiler alerts for you comic nerds, but the real reason why he's trying to kill off people in the universe is to impress Death, because in the Marvel universe, Death is an actual being, and he is in love with Death. So but for some reason, Deadpool and Death are like really jiving with each other, and so Thanos, he is trying to impress Death by killing off half the universe for her. And then he also makes Deadpool immortal, so he cannot be with Death. And so a way they could have tied Deadpool into the Marvel universe is actually carrying out the way that like Thanos is trying to impress Death and win over Death's heart, but they didn't do that.
This is the funnest podcast yet, Jack.
Well, this is only number 4, but yes,
I'm having a good time. This has been all over the place with beer intertwined in it, and it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
The common theme of the podcast is either beer or running or both. That's just the common theme. It can be one, it can be the other, it can be both. Sarah, that's how we found you, because you did both running and beer together, and it caught my eye. So, Sarah, if you don't mind sharing, where can people find you? I think we already mentioned your website, but where can people find you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is literally my name, Sarah, Sarah, C for my middle initial for Christine, and then Moorman, Moorman, not the same spelling as the religion. So that's my Instagram. And then I have a really rad newsletter there where I send out weekly emails, kind of helping people for free on their nutrition and fitness just through this newsletter. So they can also sign up for that to get more of my into my trainer coach brain for free.
And they sign up for that through strengthandscience.com?
Yeah, through my website. There should be
Okay.
a little pop-up that says, hey, do you want free information? Yeah, dope. Sign up.
Yeah, well, we appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on the Beer on the Rim podcast. We're new and growing, and having more than just our small friend group on kind of helps us grow as well. So we do appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Sarah. That was so much fun.
Sarah.
Nailed it.
We could have gone a whole lot longer.